based on not actual community. Yeah, we're in a
Yo. So today we're gonna be looking at this town hall with Kamala Harris. So let's get into it. Y'all know it's gonna be some word salad. It's gonna be some word salad.
And welcome. We are live from Chester Township, Pennsylvania, Delaware County, one in Pennsylvania, Delaware County, one of the critical counties around Philadelphia that will help determine who wins the White House. Welcome to CNN's Presidential Town Hall with the Democratic nominee, Vice President Kamala Harris. I'm Anderson Cooper. Now, in this room, we have assembled a group of 32 Pennsylvania voters who say they are still undecided or persuadable. All of them are registered to vote. Some cast votes for Joe Biden in 2020, others for Donald Trump. Some didn't vote at all, and for some, this is their first election. Many are leaning right now to one candidate or another, but they all say they have yet to make their final choice. Now, we found these voters working with a nonpartisan research firm, as well as business and religious groups, universities, and other civic organizations. These voters are asking their own questions tonight, selected by CNN to cover a variety of topics. You may see them holding a piece of paper when they're asking a question. It has their question on it. That is a question they have come up with. It has not been edited by CNN. We also invited former President Donald Trump to participate in President Town Hall or debate declined. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vice President Kamala Harris. Hey, thanks. You have the mic right here. Vice President, thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening.
Thanks so much for being with us. We're going to get the audience in just a second. I want to start by asking the audience in just a second. For weeks, you have been calling Donald Trump unstable.
Yeah, she's been calling him unstable and everything. And I'm pretty sure you do. Yeah. Yeah.
By asking you, though, for weeks you have been calling Donald Trump unstable, unhinged, you called him dangerous. You quoted General Milley recently, who called him a fascist. Today, you quoted General Kelly, who said that there are tens of millions of Americans right now who have heard all those things, and they don't buy it, or even if they do, vote for Donald Trump. He's arguably more popular now than ever. You have 13 days to go. What do you say to those voters to convince them? Because some of them are in this room.
Sure, and I thank you all for taking the time to be here. And you could be doing a number of other things with your time. So this really is proof that we love our country. People are engaged, Anderson, and really want to talk about the issues. And so the issue that you raise, yes, I do believe that Donald Trump is unstable, increasingly unstable, and unfit to serve. And I don't necessarily think that everyone has heard what you and I have heard repeatedly, which is the people who know Donald Trump best, the people who worked with him in the White House, in the Situation Room, in the Oval Office, all Republicans, by the way, who served in his administration, his former chief of staff, his national security advisor, former secretaries of defense, and his vice president have all called him unfit and dangerous. They have said explicitly he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. They have said he should never again serve as president of the United States. We know that is why Mike Pence is not running with him again, why the job was empty. And then today we learned that John Kelly, a four-star Marine general, who was his longest-serving chief of staff, gave an interview recently in the last 2 weeks of this election, talking about how dangerous Donald Trump is. And I think one has to think about, why would someone who served with him, who is not political, a four-star Marine general, why is he telling the American people now? And frankly, I think of it as he's just putting out a 911 call to the American people. Understand what could happen if Donald Trump were back in the White House. And this time, we must take very seriously those folks who knew him best and who were career people are not going to be there to hold him back. At least before, there were folks who we know what he would say, but they would restrain him. Imagine now Donald Trump in the Oval Office, in the Situation Room. He who has openly admired dictators, said he would be a dictator on day one. The former chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff has said he is a fascist to the core. So I think that when the American people reflect, especially those who are undecided, on who you should listen to, don't take my word for it. In fact, go online and listen to John Kelly, his voice, talking about what he thinks of Donald Trump 2 weeks before the election. Because I think we all know, to your point, Anderson, it is close, but there are undecided voters who clearly by being here have an open mind, want to talk in a way that is grounded in issues and fact. And when they hear these,
y'all been saying the same thing for years. Y'all been saying that, and on top of that, the man been in office already before. That's why nobody's buying it.
these facts, I think it compels a lot of people to be concerned about the future of our country with Donald Trump at the lead.
You've quoted General Milley calling Donald Trump a fascist. You yourself have not used that word to describe him. Let me ask you tonight, do you think Donald Trump is a fascist?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. And I also believe that the people who know him best.
But we're not going to sit here and talk about the background that you come from. Okay.
On this subject should be trusted. Again, look at their careers. These are not people, with the exception, I think, of only Mike Pence. These were not politicians. These are career people who have served in the highest roles in national security, who have served as generals in our military, who are highly respected. Talking about the person who would be commander-in-chief, not to mention what we know and what they've told us about how he talks about the military. Servicemen and women, referring to them as suckers and losers. How he demeans people who have taken an oath to sacrifice their life for our country. And I do believe, Anderson, that part of this is why, even just this week, I traveled this state and others with Liz Cheney, former Congress member who was a very high-ranking Republican. She is her father, the former Vice President Dick Cheney, is voting for me. Over 400.
Dick Cheney is a warmongering politician. So you got a warmongering politician voting for you. And never mind.
Previous members of the administration, from Ronald Reagan to both Presidents Bush to Donald Trump, even, have endorsed my candidacy. And the reason why among them is a legitimate fear based on Donald Trump's words and actions that he will not obey an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. He himself.
But at the same time, this man, he's not necessarily an extremist when it comes to this, is a supporter of the Second Amendment and the First Amendment of the Constitution.
Has said he would terminate the Constitution of the United States and wants to earn your vote to stand again behind the seal of the President of the United States? No one. Standing behind the seal of the President of the United States of America.
First of all, that's not what he said in the first place. He never
should be in that position saying they want to terminate the Constitution of the United States.
This is Annalise Keene. She's from Philadelphia. She works as a fundraiser for Habitat for Humanity.
That's another lie that they're making up because that's another lie that they're making up because he never did that. Never did that. And he's also a supporter of the Second Amendment rights. First and Second Amendment. So has he planning to terminate the Constitution of the United States of America? And this man is literally the supporter of the First and Second Amendment rights. Literally. So now if we really want to have this conversation, because you talk about banning assault rifles. Well, first you went from banning handguns, now you just want to ban assault rifles. Sounds like you obstruction against the Constitution of the United States, ma'am. What is we talking about? She's straight up lying.
She's leaning toward voting for you, but says she's yet to make her final decision in part because of the conflict in the Middle East. Annalise?
Thank you, and good evening, Madam Vice President. My question is, as President, what would you do to ensure not another Palestinian dies due to bombs being funded by U.S. tax dollars?
So, I will say, and I think this is to your point, far too many innocent Palestinian civilians have been killed. It's unconscionable. And we are now at a place where with Sinwar's death, I do believe we have an opportunity to end this war, bring the hostages home, bring relief to the Palestinian people, and work toward a two-state solution where Israel and the Palestinians in equal measure have security, where the Palestinian people have dignity, self-determination, and the safety that they so rightly deserve.
What do you say to voters who are thinking about supporting a third-party candidate or state?
But at the same time, because of you and your incompetence with this administration, that has not even happened yet. That has not even been done yet, and it's been 3 years. And you the vice president. So it'll take us voting you back into office as the sitting president to make that happen when you had all that time to do exactly that.
Staying on the couch, not voting at all because of this issue.
Listen, I am not going to have. I don't know that anyone who has seen the images would not have strong feelings about what has happened, much less those who have relatives who have been killed, and I know people and have talked with people. So I appreciate that, but I also do know that for many people who care about this issue, they also care about bringing down the price of groceries. They also care about our democracy and not having a president of the United States who admires dictators and is a fascist. They also care about the fact that we need practical, common sense solutions from a leader who is willing to work across the aisle on behalf of the American people. And
So I remind you, people, that during 2016 from 2020, him and Vladimir Putin had the weirdest relationship with each other. Always going back and forth on each other. They was friends. They was enemies. So who the hell did Trump admire as a dictator?
not themselves. They want a president who cares about a fundamental freedom to make decisions about your own body. Understanding that we're not trying to change anyone's belief, but let's not have the government telling women what to do with their body.
I want you to meet Beth Sandberg. She's a realtor, a mom of 4 from Bala Cynwyd, Pennsylvania. She's a registered Democrat, says she's undecided because of concerns about anti-Semitism.
Hi, thank you for being here.
Thank you,
Thank
Beth.
you for remembering we need to bring the hostages home.
Of course.
The rise of anti-Semitism and violence from anti-Semitism has risen greatly on college campuses and on our city streets in the last year. How would you combat this growing trend and protect our young adults?
Thank you, Beth. You are right, and I will say that we have seen a rise in anti-Semitism. It is something that we have to be honest about and we have to deal with. As Attorney General, I actually published a hate crimes report on a regular basis, and anti-Semitism was among the highest forms of hate in our country, and this was before October 7. And we know what we've seen since. Part of understand what are the tropes, what are the roots of what we are seeing, so that we can actually have people be more understanding. We need to have laws in place that make those who would commit crimes on behalf of anti-Semitism and hate, that they pay a serious consequence. We need to have the deterrence so that doesn't happen. We need to ensure that college students are be able to go to class. But I'm going to tell you what doesn't help. Again, I invite you to listen and go online to listen to John Kelly, the former chief of staff of Donald Trump, who has us. Donald Trump said, why aren't my generals like those of Hitler's? Like Hitler, who has referred several times the reports for years.
You believe Donald Trump is
I believe a danger to the well-being and security of America.
He has said that he's casting himself as a protector of Israel. Do you believe you would be more pro-Israel than Donald Trump?
I believe that Donald Trump is dangerous. I believe that when you have a president of the United States, for him because he is commander-in-chief. These conversations, I assume many of them took place in the Oval Office. And if the president of the United States, the commander-in-chief, is saying to his generals, in essence, why can't you be more like him? This is a
I'm going to show you how easy it is to create a website for your salon or spa business that looks this polished. Seriously, I did this in a couple of minutes and you can too, no matter the size of your business. Let's get into it.
This is a serious issue. And we know who he is. He admires dictators, sending love letters back and forth with Kim Jong-un. Talks about the president of Russia, and then most recently, the reports are that in the height of COVID, when most Americans could not get their hands on a COVID test, Americans were dying by the hundreds a day. He secretly sent COVID tests to the president of Russia for his personal use. So again, this election in 13 days is presenting the American people with a very significant decision. And on the one side, on this issue of who is going to model what it means to use the bully pulpit of the President of the United States in a manner that in tone, word, and deed is about lifting up our discourse, fighting against hate, as opposed to fanning the flames of hate, which Donald Trump does consistently. I'm going to tell you, we are an incredible country, and we love our country. Y'all wouldn't be here unless we love our country. And there are certain things where unless we love our country, and to come together, and realize that do believe in the importance of healthy debate on real issues. But there are certain standards we've got.
Healthy debate on real issues. But there are certain standards
another point that even John Kelly talked about, I believe, and many have. I believe, and many have. Is January 6th. The President of the United States.
Where you have the President of the United States.
Will of the people in a free and fair election. And unleashing a violent mob who attacked
and unleashing a violent mob who attacked the United
country. And we love our country.
And we love our country. Y'all wouldn't
be here. Unless we love our country.
Certain things where we've just got to come together.
Things where we've just got to come together.
And realize that
we
do believe in the importance
of healthy debate on real issues.
But there are certain standards we've got to have. And another point that even John Kelly talked about, I believe, and many have, is January 6th.
Where you have the President of the United States.
President of the United States.
So you got about one's ethnicity and background and childhood and all that stuff is the perfect way to have a debate. Because every time Trump went on MSNBC, the National African American Association for Black Journalists, they didn't do nothing but ask him about that, about your ethnicity and everything. So you think that coming in with a hostile environment towards your opponent is the best way to debate? You think that having conversations and asking your opponent about your ethnicity and background and all that stuff and what he think of it is the way to debate? Let's continue.
Defying the will of the people in a free and fair election and unleashing a violent mob who attacked the United States Capitol. 140 law enforcement officers were attacked. Some were killed. And so I say that to say the American people deserve to have a president who encourages healthy debate, works across the aisle, not afraid of good ideas wherever they come from, but also maintains certain standards about how we think about the role and the responsibility, and certainly not comparing oneself in a clearly admiring way to Hitler.
All right. If she want to talk about January 6th, okay. Donald Trump done got 2 assassination attempts up under his belt. From y'all calling him a threat to democracy and all of that. But y'all still ain't stopping it. Y'all ain't stopping the rhetoric. Right.
And we are back with Vice President Kamala Harris. I want to meet Rob McPherson, the chair of the local organization.
But see, here's the thing. Donald Trump done had 2 assassination attempts, and they've been calling him a threat to democracy beforehand and everything. They still calling him a threat to democracy. But they want him to own up to feeling what happened on January 6th. But you refuse to own up to the feeling of him being damn near assassinated twice. But y'all been caught.
Registered Republican from Media, Pennsylvania, who told us he's leaning towards voting for you, but has concerns about what he calls shifts in your policy positions. Rob?
Thank you. Thank you for being here, Vice President. Welcome, Delco.
Thank you.
Here in Delco, we try to be authentic. And much of what we have seen, much of what we've been saying with regard to issues like law and order and fracking reflect a more centrist view than what people are used to hearing from Kamala Harris. Some voters wonder about the authenticity of your current more moderate positions. Can you talk a little bit about how your positions have shifted and why?
Sure, and thank you. So first of all, we could dispense with this in 2020. I am not going to ban fracking. I did not as vice president. In fact, as vice president, I cast the tie-breaking vote that now has opened up more fracking leases. My value on the issue of what we need to do to invest in a clean energy economy and a clean energy future has not changed. But frankly, I have had the experience of having vice president for almost 4 years. I've traveled the country. I know that we can invest in a clean energy economy and still not ban fracking and still work toward what we need to do to create more jobs and create U.S.-based jobs in a way that will be globally competitive. On the issue of law and order, as you mentioned, I think there's just a whole lot of misinformation. To be honest with you, I have personally prosecuted very serious crime. It's how I started my career. I spent most of my career as a prosecutor, not in Washington D.C. And as my first priority had and remains as a first priority to me, the safety of the American people. So that has not changed, and sadly, I think that there's a bit of misinformation, if not more than a bit. But I'm glad that you raised the subject so that I can address it. But just if you don't mind, just let me finish. Because I think the the spirit of your question is really important, and I'm glad you raised it. Our country deserves to have a president of the United States who is not afraid of good ideas and does not stand on pride. If a perspective needs to be informed by different points of view to build consensus and to have a common sense approach, I'm never going to shy away from good ideas. And I'm not going to feel the need to have pride associated with the position that I've taken when the important thing is to build consensus to fix problems. I believe in fixing problems. I love fixing problems. And so I pledge to you to be a president who not only works for all Americans, but works on getting stuff done. And that means compromise. And it doesn't mean compromising your values or your principles, but it does mean working to get stuff done. And I pledge to you I will do that.
Just to be clear, though, what he's referring to, and you point out to when you're running for vice president in 2020, you were not talking about banning fracking, but
No, Anderson, I pledge that I would not ban fracking.
right, I know you said
Yeah.
you would not ban fracking.
Correct.
You had said in the 2019 town hall, there's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. In 2017, you talked about Medicare for all. You talked about 2019, you raised a hand in debate about if border crossings should be decriminalized. Are all of those issues, which those are not your positions now, are all those issues that you're saying through consensus and getting stuff done, you have evolved on?
Well, no, let's take, for example, the issue of Medicare. My point has always been that access to health care should not just be a privilege of those who can afford it. It should be a right for all people. So that is why I have worked on doing what we have done to, one, allow Medicare to negotiate against the big pharmaceutical companies to bring down the cost of prescription medication. We've achieved that in terms of capping the cost of insulin for seniors at $35 a month, capping the cost of annual prescriptions at $2,000 a year for seniors. But my plan moving forward, based on that very principle that I've always had, is as president, to have that cap be for everyone and not just for our seniors. The work that I have done that has been about recognizing the importance of dealing with border security, that has never changed. As I said, I have prosecuted transnational criminal organizations. That I did for years before I ever ran in 2019.
I mean, you did raise your hand saying in a debate when asked if border crossing should be decriminalized, but obviously that is not your position.
I never intended, nor will I ever allow America to have a border that is not secure. I believe we need to deal with illegal immigration. There needs to be consequences, which is why part of my plan that I have outlined, and again, please go to kamalaharris.com. Sorry to throw a website on you, but why not? And you will see that part of my plan includes what we need to do to actually do more as it relates to putting resources in, including increasing penalties for illegal crossing.
And just finally on fracking, you said you're clear you would not ban it as president.
No, I would not ban it as president.
Right, you're clear on that. Do you think it is bad for the environment, though?
I think that we have proven that we can invest in a clean energy economy. We can mitigate greenhouse gas emissions. We can work on sustaining what we need to do to protect this beautiful earth of ours and not ban fracking.
Time is short, so I want to get some more voters in. Tanisha Spall from Lansdowne, Pennsylvania. She works as an education administration manager for the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections. Registered Democrat said she's leaning towards supporting you, has yet to make her final decision.
Thank you, Anderson. Thank you, Madam Vice President, for joining us this evening. I appreciate that you did acknowledge that we are a country that faces problems and issues. With the Supreme Court.
I'm low-key surprised that Anderson Cooper is somewhat pressing on and causing her to stumble a little bit so people can actually see.
favor of expanding the court to
Would
say
you be in
12?
favor of
So
expanding
each justice
the
has
court
only
to
one
say
circuit
12?
court other
So
than
each
Chief
justice has only one
to
circuit
assist in making judgments
other than
more
Chief
balanced.
Justice to assist
Well,
in making
to your
judgments
point,
more balanced.
there is
Well,
no
to your
question
point,
that the American
there is
people
no question
increasingly are
that the
losing
American
confidence
people
in the
increasingly
Supreme
are
Court.
losing confidence in the Supreme Court.
And in large part because
And
of
in
the
large part
behavior of
because of
certain
the
members of
behavior
that
of certain
court
members of
and
that
because of
court
certain
and
rulings,
because of certain
including
rulings,
the
including
Dobbs
the
decision and
Dobbs
taking
decision
away
and taking
a
away
precedent
a
that had been in
precedent that
place
had
for
been in
50
place for
years,
50 years,
protecting
protecting
a
a
woman's right to make
decisions
about her own body.
So
So I do
believe that there
should be some kind of reform of the court, and we can study what that actually looks like. But I do believe, but again, let's just, while you raise the point of the court, understand that again, in 13 days, the American people will decide who is the next president of the United States. In 13 days, you will decide who is sitting in the Oval Office on January 20th. And on one hand, you have in Donald Trump someone was increasingly proved himself to be unstable, and who, as we have established and the people close to him have established, he is unfit to serve. Somebody who on January 20th, you can be sure, will spend full time like we know and we've seen the image mentally of him sitting in the dining room off of the Oval Office, watching for hours as people violently attack the Capitol. You can be sure because he has said he would weaponize the Department of Justice to go after his political enemies, that you can look at a Donald Trump in the White House after January 20th, sitting in that Oval Office, plotting his revenge. He has talked about the enemies within. We haven't even raised that subject, Anderson. The enemies within. He's talking about the American people.
Ain't too much for slow in it.
Talking about the American people. He's talking about journalists,
Nonpartisan
judges,
election officials.
nonpartisan election
He has
officials.
talked about, as John Kelly
He's
has talked about,
can he send
the military after peaceful protesters.
after peaceful protesters?
And he's going to sit there stable, unhinged,
plotting his revenge,
plotting his retribution, creating an enemies list. I'm going to tell you, my list will be a list of how I address and continue to address the issues that you all are raising this afternoon and evening. It will be
a to-do list about how we can impact the American people and lift up the American people and address some of the challenges that we continue to face.
Vice President Kamala Harris. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for watching. Thanks
Thanks for watching.
Thanks
Thanks
to all the voters here. Be sure to
November
join
5th
CNN on
election
November
night
5th for election night in America right here on CNN.
To Tapper and Aaron Burnett. Pick it up right now.
So basically, she wouldn't do nothing but fluff. She didn't really do anything but fluff. Didn't really say nothing. Just spoke a bunch of damn lies. And that was it. That's all she did. But anyways, guys, like, comment, and subscribe. See you later.